Welcome to the Mindset Generation podcast, a show where I sit down and talk to very inspiring human beings on how to lead a more intentional life. We talk about all things resilience, mindfulness, and how to build something that lasts. I'm very excited today to welcome, first of all, a very dear friend of mine, Bob Roth, to the podcast. Bob is very known in the world of meditation, transcendental meditation. He's taught more than 1.5 million people how to meditate,
My
starting
foundation has my foundation. Yeah,
foundation,
yeah.
yes. And Bob has been an inspiring figure in the world of meditation. You know, when they say some people just don't need any introduction and then they go and give an introduction, I could not mention some beautiful things about you and how inspiring you are to me. I've learned to meditate and I've had a chance to meet you in the last year, and I'm very grateful to welcome you today to the show.
It's wonderful to be here. I consider it an honor. And as we were saying before we started, I really appreciate you taking the time and making an effort to bring inspiring knowledge to people who wouldn't ordinarily have an opportunity to hear it, the different people you're interviewing, sharing their wisdom. It's a great service.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to interview you and to talk to you today. I mean, this is just a conversation between friends, and it's a conversation you and I have had multiple times in the last year. And I'm very excited today to bring it to our audience and to the broader amount of people who can learn from your wisdom. I would love to just start with how are you today?
I'm really good. I came from New York yesterday and I'd been in New York I lived there for a couple of months straight, and it was a relief to come to Los Angeles
Yes.
and wake up in the morning and the sky is blue and it's not I mean, I love New York, but it's a relief. And I'm very happy to be spending this time with you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you so much. So, I have learned transcendental meditation a year ago. It really changed my life. I will never forget how I heard about TM in the first place. Um, I was attending a conference in Singapore, and a friend of mine who organizes these conferences with around 200 people, he's also a very calm person in general, but something was different about him. His demeanor, his attitude was even calmer. So I told him, "Hey, are you doing something else? I know he's running and I know he's into that, but there was a certain stillness to him." And he said, "Wow, thank you for noticing. I'm actually doing transcendental meditation." And I said, "What is that?" I'm very excited if you could share with our audience what is TM.
Um, I like to use an analogy of a cross section of an ocean where you have choppy waves on the surface of the ocean, but the ocean is quiet at its depth. And I like to use that as an analogy for the mind. So the surface of our mind is the gotta, 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 gotta. It's like the active choppy. The surface of our mind is the active thinking mind. I like to call it the gotta, 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 gotta mind. But just like an ocean has a vertical dimension, our mind has a vertical dimension. And deep within every human being, right now, at all times, there's a level where our mind is settled and peaceful and quiet and wide awake. It's our own innermost self. We've lost access to it. You don't have to believe in it. You don't have to visualize it. It's there. And what transcendental meditation does is it's just like teaching a child how to dive. Just take the correct angle, and automatically and effortlessly your active thinking mind settles down, and we experience quieter, deeper levels of the mind, quieter levels of thought. And when that happens, your body, according to hundreds of research studies, gains a state of rest and relaxation deeper than the deepest part of deep sleep. And that eliminates the buildup of stress and tension and anxiety and allows us to live a more purposeful and focused life.
It's so beautiful. Um,
This is what it's not. It's
yeah,
not a religion,
it's not a religion.
not a
No.
philosophy, not a change in lifestyle. You don't have to believe in it. I'm by nature sort of a skeptical
Mm-hmm.
person. And so I was told by my teacher that I could be 100% skeptical and the technique would work fine. And she held up a pen and she dropped the pen and into her other hand. And she said, "You don't have to believe in gravity for the pen to fall.
Right.
You don't have to believe in TM for the technique to work."
And it really works. So, 2 times a day, 20 minutes.
Yes.
There's been a lot of research also done on the benefits of TM, the background of TM, and actually how efficient it is. While we're not trying to convince anyone to learn transcendental meditation, on this podcast, my goal is really to talk to you about the benefits of having a moment with yourself, regardless. I mean, you mentioned you live in New York. That's a busy city, right? And in the coaching that I'm doing with my clients, we always talk about everything you need is already within you. And I feel that,
That's a really, say that again for your audience. Tell them.
yes, everything you need is already within you.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean that everything that you need, you carry with yourself. A lot of times we outsource our own life to judgment of others, to approval of others, validation, and so on. But we are the ones who live with ourselves our whole life. The most important relationship you always have is the one you have with yourself. So I feel that it's very important that we have the tools and that we understand how important that is. And I feel that transcendental meditation has helped me understand if I'm on a plane, if I'm in a busy city. You and I just meditated before we started this podcast that we are recording in Los Angeles, also a busy town. But just having that moment, a couple of minutes even, this is such a beautiful way to live a more intentional life. You do not need to go to meditation center per se. You do not need to book a vacation to feel calm. That impresses me.
The thing is, it used to be thought that taking time out to meditate was a luxury. Well, I don't really have the time. I have kids. I have a job. I have a partner. I have family I have to take care of. Meditation is for other people. Well, that was when we sort of thought that, and meditation is a big word, and there's so many different types of meditation, and some of it is legitimate, and a lot of it is just nonsense, it's just marketing. But we used to think there was no time for meditation, but the world has become, as you were saying, so stressed. We're under such demand. And it's not just stress, it's what's called chronic stress. It's the buildup of stress that doesn't go from a good night's sleep. It doesn't go from a run in the park. It just builds that residue. And that buildup of chronic stress, actually, when you think of all diseases, cancer, high blood pressure, depression, anxiety, all of them, up to 90% of all human diseases caused by that, just that buildup of stress, day after day after day. We may not even think we have a really stressful life. You think, well, I have a good life, but the residue is there, the toll it's taking on the body. And so with something like transcendental meditation, it's this simple, effortless tool to just dip into that inner stillness that's there. Again, some people say, oh, I could never meditate. My mind is so busy. I have like a monkey mind. I'm all over. I tried that once. It was a disaster. Or I tried it and I couldn't stick with it. Well, that's trying to create calm in the ocean by stopping waves. Transcendental meditation accesses the silence as if the silence of the ocean that lies deep within. So it's there. Sometimes we glimpse it. Athletes talk about the zone or the flow state, but just randomly. With transcendental meditation, we have a way to access it effortlessly twice a day. And that's completely transformational for our health. It eliminates the buildup of that chronic stress, wakes up the creative networks in the brain, and allows us to feel a connection with ourselves. I'll say one more thing. We can be, we can use the meditation or we can do things because we want to be more successful. We want to be more creative. We want to feel less stressed. But we're also looking for meaning in our life. We're looking for purpose in our life. We're looking for connection with the people we love. And just being successful in life doesn't necessarily bring that connection. To have that connection with a person we love in the midst of a crazy dynamic, and the meditation also allows that to happen. That meaning, that connection, I think is so important, particularly for younger people who are on that just starting off and really trying to build a career, but they don't want to lose what they have with their loved ones.
Yeah, I completely agree. I also love that you said the word effortless.
Mhm.
I was one of those people who tried different types of meditation, and they always seemed like a lot of effort. And I always felt like I'm doing something wrong. But then transcendental meditation came, and it could not be more simple. I would love for our audience, for someone who's never heard about TM, what can they expect? What does learning TM look like? What's the
First
process?
of all, it just looks like this. You do it sitting comfortably in a
Yes,
chair.
that's how
You don't have to.
simple it is.
Yeah, you don't have to. I do it
Mm-hmm.
in the back of cars. You can't do it if someone else is driving. I mean, if you're driving, do it if someone else is. I do it in the cars. I do it in the train. I do it in airplanes. I did it at a New York Yankee baseball game
Oh,
once.
wow.
It's a boring game.
Uh-huh.
But
Mm-hmm.
it's just a tool that allows that active, agitated thing. Just think of that agitated thinking mind. Here's an interesting thing. So I was telling this one Wall Street guy, young guy, I said, TM allows you to experience quieter levels of the mind, deeper levels of the mind. He said, what are you talking about, quieter level of the mind? What does that even mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you have a good intuition. He said, he's a trader. Somebody gives you 3 reasons why you should make a big investment in something, and it makes perfectly good sense. And then later you think about it and you say, I'm not going to do that. The person says, how come? You said, doesn't feel right. You ever had that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, doesn't feel right. That's a quieter level of the mind. And the idea here is that even deeper than that, we have a deeper level of the mind that's already just still, but awake. It's not still and unconscious. We're wide awake. And that inner state of restful alertness produces a constellation of changes in your brain. So it does focus, it increases creativity. Students do better on exams. We're more resilient to the ups and downs and unexpecteds of life. We're more bounce back faster. So there's reduced high blood pressure, reduced anxiety and depression. But the experience is so comfortable. There's a term there's a lot of attention these days in psychology because they say one of our most precious resources is our attention. Because everything on the internet, everything's calling for our attention. Kids are calling for attention. Partners calling for attention. Watch me, or television. This,
And
watch.
attention span is
Yeah.
so much shorter
Shorter.
nowadays.
Attention. And that's called it's called a voluntary attention, where you have to decide, I'm going to focus on this or I'm not going to focus on that. And that's exhausting. After a while, this is called attention fatigue. But then there's another type of attention. It's called a soft attention. It's called an involuntary attention, where your attention is just drawn to that beautiful music. Its attention is drawn to that, you're at the ocean and the waves, or you're talking to a friend, and there's just something so charming about that person. And that attention, your attention is just drawn to something effortlessly. And in Transcendental Meditation, we set up the conditions for the attention of the mind to turn within, and then without any effort, because deeper levels are more satisfying, more charming, more enjoyable. And then the 20 minutes are up, the body gets that deep rest, and then we come out better able to focus, use that voluntary attention, that focus much, much more profoundly.
And 20 minutes a day in the
For
morning and
adults,
20
yeah,
in the
20 minutes.
evening.
Yeah, and people
It's
sometimes
so
say,
little,
I know. Some
right?
people say that's so much. And
But it's
it's
actually
nothing.
not. And once you meditate, it's so short.
It's so
It
short.
flies by.
I remember a father, a woman had learned to meditate, and she sent her husband in
Yeah.
with her 15-year-old kid to meditate, to learn about it. And the son was very interested, and the father was skeptical, but he listened to it. And when I was done, he said, I'm sure it works. I'm not skeptical that it works. I just don't think I'm skeptical that I have the time to do it.
Oh.
And so the kid said, and I'm sure he was coached by his mother. The kid said, Dad, there's 1,440 minutes in a day. You don't have a few minutes, morning and afternoon, to wake up your brain? And then he said something that his mother obviously said, Dad, you need more self-care. When she said, but that's true. We need to, we're caregivers for so many people, parents, children, caregiving, giving, all the time, giving. So a few minutes of self-care, completely transformational.
Right. For which you do not need some special equipment.
No,
right?
it's just
you
done.
Have yourself.
It's taught. It takes about an hour a day. You're a very good interviewer. She's a very good. It takes about an hour a day over 4 consecutive days to learn. You can't learn it out of a book. You can find out about it from a book. It's not on tape. It's not internet. You have a human being teach you to do it one-to-one. And then that's the first day. It takes about an hour. And then the next 3 days, either remote or in person, you learn more instruction more instruction. By the end of those 4 1-hour sessions, you've really learned it. So you don't need equipment, you don't need gadgets, you don't have to put a headset, you don't have to someone guide you. You can just do it. And then the lovely thing about TM is it's a nonprofit educational organization. There's a lovely follow-up program. So if you ever have questions or anything like that, then there's teachers there to support your practice.
And that was a crucial point that helped me with my process. Having Emily, my wonderful teacher, shout out to Emily,
Yeah, a shout out to
um,
Emily. She's a
who we love,
wonderful teacher. We love
right?
Emily.
Um, well, the fact that you get a check-in with your teacher, a regular check-in, and you always have a chance to reach out, and that is free of charge. You do not have to pay to talk to your teacher. In today's world where so
Yeah.
many people are trying to sell something, the beauty of just having your teacher when you sometimes need to check in, because I do remember once I learned there was sometimes like a dip in staying consistent. And then I would have a check in with Emily, and she would also tell me
Yeah.
that that is normal and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Why did you learn transcendental meditation?
I was inspired by the calmness of my friend.
That was it. And
Yes.
what were you looking that it would provide you with? Like, what were you saying? Oh, if I learn to meditate, I'm going to have sleep better at night, or I'm going to be this, or I'm going to be. Was there anything in
I sleep
particular?
very good. I like I don't hear any
Yeah.
noise. So that was it was more, when some people you talk to them and they're just so calm.
So you wanted some of
I
that.
wanted to be that person. And I love when I meet someone and they just take a moment and you can feel their present. I love that. And TM brought me that calmness.
Were you ever interested in meditation before? See, we've switched the
Yes.
things here. Now I'm
Yes.
interviewing.
No, yes.
Yeah.
He's very good at that.
No, have you ever been, were you like as a kid or when you were in college, oh, someday I'd like to learn to meditate, or
I have done different types of meditation, and I know that there's 3 types. I mean, I've read your great book, Strength in Stillness. Bob's book is here at the table, and finally, I'm gonna get it signed today by Bob. I tried somatic meditation. I tried relaxing meditation, guided meditation, and so on. So over the years, there were different types of meditation I've experienced. But I'm also I love to observe nature. I love to observe trees. I love to sit still. This is one of the reasons why doing now the podcast and going into a more social media world is really challenging for me because I'm a very private person. So
but
putting
you're very
myself out there
charismatic too. Yeah.
is really different for me. So I love not to use the phone. I
Mhm.
love to be offline. I love to just be. So there were parts of if one could say that's a meditative state.
Mhm.
But I feel with this technique, I have also a tool. It's not just something I like to do. I have a tool. And I'd love that we talk also about a mantra that you learn from a teacher. For those of you who think, okay, what is a mantra? I'm happy for you to explain it. It's nothing that you need to be scared of.
No. Mantra is just
It's a word or
It's a word that translates mean a word or a sound, a few syllables or something that has no meaning. That's
Mhm.
soothing. It has a good influence, and it's known to be positive and life supporting. It's 6,000 years old or more. It predates Buddhism, Catholicism, Hinduism, Judaism. It's not an ism. The meditation comes from an ancient meditative practice,
Mhm.
secular. And when you learn transcendental meditation from your teacher, you go from your certified teacher, you want to be sure it's not just some trying to rip something off, a certified, legitimate teacher. You can go to tm.org if you want to
Mhm.
find that. Then the teacher will select the right vehicle for you. It's a like the vehicle for that settling down, and also teach you how to use it properly. Sometimes people say, well, I don't know, how can you effortlessly go from here to here? And meditation is complicated and I can't push out thoughts. And so I like to use the example of you're sitting in a room and you're listening to some wretched music on there. And in the other room, you can hear it. There's some really great music on. Where's your attention just get drawn to?
Sure, yeah.
Or you go on a vacation and you have 2 books to read. A friend gave you 2 books. The first book is so bad, Adele, you can't read a word. And the other book is so good. Hours go by. So what is that? Your attention drawn to the music in the other room, the attention drawn to the book. Our mind is naturally drawn, it's what that involuntary attention, our mind is naturally drawn to something more satisfying. And inside is a really nice place. It's our own inner, it's not somebody else's inner, it's our own innermost self. Been there our whole life, and we've lost access. So like a dive, you take the correct angle with a mantra, the teacher teaches how to use it, and effortlessly, gently, naturally, spontaneously, your attention settles down and settles down. Someone said to me once, sort of skeptical, they said, well, you're settling down to this inner quiet and for 20 minutes. And how do you know when your 20 minutes are up? And I said, look at your watch.
Yeah.
You're not going anywhere. You're just settling down to your
Yes.
innermost self. That's all.
And for those of our audience who are more digital, you also have an app. So where you can time your meditation and with a very pleasant sound,
Yes.
it notifies you when 20 minutes are up.
Now, your husband also meditates. Who started
Yes.
first?
He started first. So he learned TM when we were here in Los Angeles from Emily 2 years ago. And when we moved here last year, I thought, okay, now we have the time. And I learned with Emily as well.
What was he looking for and why did he learn?
He was also looking for some calmness as well and to sleep
What does
better.
he do? What does he do?
He's an entrepreneur. Yes.
And
so,
to sleep better. So you sleep well and he can't sleep.
Yes. I'm a very deep sleeper. So for him, meditation was very instant. As soon as he learned with Emily, the first week, he felt a lot of relief. And we have very dear friends from Denmark who visited us in December. They also learned with Emily. They were absolutely grateful and said that they never slept better after they've learned.
And the reason why we sleep better, TM is not, Transcendental Meditation doesn't give, that rest is not sleep. It's a unique state of restful alertness. But because we're getting rid of that buildup of chronic stress and that buildup of stress, twice a day, once in the morning, it's done to begin the day, and again at the end of the day before dinner, ideally. Then when we go to sleep at night, we've got rid of the stresses of the day and stresses from before. So when we get into bed, it's not like we're, all right, sleep.
Yes.
We're just calm or soothed, more natural. And what changes have you seen in him?
A lot of mindfulness.
What does that mean?
Being just more present, being more grounded, being more calm. And I feel that also with the friends of mine who've learned it, I have seen similar, there are certain benefits that I get to experience in myself and in others who have learned transcendental meditation.
Yeah, no, what do you think is the biggest misunderstanding people have about transcendental meditation?
That it's a lot of effort, and with
it's not worth the time. Or
yes, that it's effort, and I've tried it. I've tried different types of meditation. What is this? Why do I need to learn it? Why do I need a teacher? What is a mantra? So this is why I thought it's very interesting to talk about mantra. I mean, mantra is just a word or a sound that you also do not say out loud. It's just something for yourself, just to get into that meditative
the thing
state.
is there are some meditations, using that analogy of the cross-section of an ocean, we have choppy waves on the surface and quiet at its depth. So according to brain research, neuroscience, there's 3 basic types of meditation. One is called focused attention. Focused attention is just that. When you sit to meditate and you want to calm your mind, you focus your attention, you concentrate. So you try to stop thoughts or minimize thoughts or concentrate on a sound or your point in your body.
Yeah.
And that would be like saying, okay, you want to get rid of thoughts. That would like saying, if you want to have a calm ocean, what disrupts a calm ocean? Waves. So stop the waves, you'll have a calm ocean. If you want to have a calm mind, what disrupts a calm mind? Thoughts. Stop thoughts, you'll have a calm mind. So that's one type. When we do it, for those of you who like brain EEG, there's a EEG pattern, brainwave pattern called gamma brainwaves. 20 to 50 cycles per second. You're working really hard, but that's stop the waves. The other is called open monitoring. Again, open monitoring, watching your thoughts, dispassionately watching your thoughts. That approach is So thoughts are not the disruptor of calm, just having thoughts, but the content of thoughts can be a disruptor of calm. So if I have a thought about a guy named Joe, who I met 5 years ago, and 5 years ago he did me wrong. But if I have a thought about a guy named Joe and I don't know anybody, nothing. So it's the content there in that case, not the thought, it's the content. So open monitoring teaches us that words here are dispassionately observe your thoughts, your moods, your feelings. So don't get caught in something that happened 5 years ago. These two things are called cognitive approaches pertaining to those thoughts, those waves. Transcendental meditation says waves are part of the ocean, but there's a much bigger part of the ocean. It's a vertical dimension. And so we access that. And a mantra is used, and it's used silently. So the teacher gives us a sound. It's like a little vehicle, and then teaches us how to use it so that we make use of the natural tendency of your mind to be drawn to something more satisfying inside. And then it's so gentle, and we teach 10-year-old children to do it. I work with kids who are on the autism spectrum disorder. And then you teach, brilliant geniuses. Everybody has some stress. Everybody would like to be more connected to themselves. Wealthy people, famous people, beautiful people. Yeah, everybody has something going on. They're worried about their kid, or they're worried about a son or a daughter. And this just helps us be ourselves.
Yes, and at the end of the day, we are all human,
Fully,
right? We
fully,
are human
fully,
beings. No
fully,
matter
fully.
what kind of life we are leading, we're all looking for that inner stillness within
Elaborate
us.
more on that. That's wise. What do you
I
talk more?
love the name of your book, Strength in Stillness. This is Bob's book that I really am very excited for everybody to read. So, strength and stillness, these 3 words that mean so much.
What do they mean to you?
To me, they mean just what we spoke about in the beginning, that everything you need is within you, that you do not need to outsource your calmness to anywhere or anything else, that you can be strong just by being calm, by observing, by taking a moment, and by having that within you, and not to think that that is somewhere outside.
And the amazing thing on that is research now shows us the brain, when we meditate, there's something called neurotransmitters or hormones, 4 basic happiness neurotransmitters. One is called dopamine, the other is called oxytocin. Dopamine is the happiness, but it's also in anticipation when my team is going to win, or I'm going on the vacation, or I'm going to meet this person, or I'm going to get that job. It's that excitement, that buildup. Yes, it comes when we have it, but it's really that. Then the other is called oxytocin, which is the bonding. That's when a woman is nursing, when a grandmother and a grandchild are holding hands. Just that love, that moment of just love between 2 people. And then there's endorphins, and endorphin is sort of the body's natural, almost opioids. People take opioids from outside, but the body produces endorphins. It's called a runner's high, and that's a sort of like a happiness sort of thing. And then the last one is serotonin. Serotonin is called the well-being. When we finish meditating, what happens when we finish meditating is our serotonin levels go way up, because that's our feeling, that sense of feeling comfortable in our own skin. I remember when I taught this woman to meditate. She was in her 40s, and she'd been going through a tough time at home, not with her husband and children, and she learned to meditate. And then about a month later, she saw a friend of hers, and the friend said to the woman I taught, "How are you doing?" And she paused. She said, "I'm doing well." And the friend said, "Why? Did you get that job? Do you have a new boyfriend? Did this happen? Did this happen?" External stuff. And the meditating woman just thought, "I'm just feeling good inside and comfortable in my own skin."
How beautiful is that?
Is that?
And how few people feel that.
And everybody can feel
right?
it
Yeah.
with meditation.
Yes, I agree. Can you tell us more about your journey to meditation? How did you hear about it? You have 50 years of experience with meditating.
And I started at 81, so I'm very old. um, I I was just a regular kid in the '60s. You know, I grew up in the San Francisco. I was born in Washington D.C., but I grew up in the San Francisco
Mhm.
Bay Area. My father was a World War II veteran. He is a doctor, and he'd been injured in the war. And so I born in D.C. and we moved out to San Francisco, and he got a job in a VA hospital. And my mom was a school teacher, and just a dumb kid,
Mhm.
regular kid playing sports. And then in the like around you history buffs, '67, there was like a change, and there was the civil rights movement and Vietnam War, and there was like this sort of awakening, and what are we doing with our lives, and what's going on here? And I got more interested in politics. I thought politics was then a noble profession, and I thought I wanted to make a better world. And I worked for Bobby Kennedy Sr. for his presidential campaign when I was a senior in high school.
Mhm.
And I went and saw him speak in San Francisco 4 days before he was assassinated.
Wow.
And
How old were you at the time?
17.
17. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 75. And
Wow. Who would say it's the transcendental meditation
yeah.
effect?
Anyway, um, and I decided when he was assassinated, I'm giving you a long backstory, but
We
yeah,
want to hear the
yeah,
backstory.
yeah.
Yes.
And I thought, I really want to make a difference. I thought I was going to make a difference by working for him. I'll go to law school, and then I'll become a United States senator like Bobby Kennedy. I really wanted to change the world. And it took me in 1968, it took me about a month
Mm-hmm.
in college, 1968, to realize there was so much divisiveness, and there was so much, and there was divisive against women. There was drugs and heavy drugs. And I thought politics is something important, but it's not going to be my life path.
Mm.
And then my mom was a school teacher, and I thought, well, I could get a doctorate in writing educational curriculum. I could, at that time, I was concerned about kids and preschool kids because it all starts at an early age. I'd like to teach those kids something, put those something in the schools that could help those kids navigate a very stressful world. So I'm going to school full time. I'm working full time because my dad wanted me to work. There's Vietnam War riots in the streets. I'm not into drugs. I'm not into some crazy religious thing. I'm
Mm.
just a kid, just a guy. And I was stressed. And I had a job at
What were you doing? What was the
an
job?
ice cream parlor,
Ice cream parlor. Okay.
Swenson's Ice Cream.
Uh-huh.
See, I could work from Saturday night from 10 until 1 because I was
Uh-huh.
going to school full time.
Yeah.
And I so different times. And there was
Mhm.
one guy, everybody at college in those days was nuts. I
Uh-huh.
thought drug. And I was just this guy, like I just idealistic. I wanted to just, can't we get along and make a better world?
Right. Could
And
be so simple.
yeah, yeah. And
Mhm.
so there was something about Peter Stevens. I remember him
Mhm.
very well. About him, there was like you met that guy,
Mhm.
calm. There was a kindness about him, super intelligent, but no ego, no roughness. And I asked him what he was doing, and he said, Transcendental Meditation was not a word in my vocabulary
Mm.
back then. No one even heard about it. And I said, I don't believe in that stuff. And then he's the one who said, you don't have to believe in it yet, drop the pen.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'll try it for 5 minutes. If I don't like it, I'm going to walk out of the room.
Mhm.
And I learned it, and it was so relaxing right from the start. And I'm like skeptic and can't be hypnotized or anything. And it was real. And I remember one of my first thoughts after I learned it, I thought, maybe this is a tool I could teach those kids. South San Francisco, Oakland, rough areas, tough areas. And that was, date myself, June 28th, 1969. And
Wow.
now I run a foundation that we brought the David Lynch Foundation to over 1.5 million kids and veterans and police and firefighters and doctors and nurses in tough hospitals and school teachers. And now we're on starting college campuses because we started off wanting to help people who are at risk for trauma and stress. And now, Adela, everyone is at risk for that. So it's all these years later, and that's 1.5 million. And my goal is in 5 years to make that 5 million. And
Beautiful. So that's the word
that was
that
a
you.
long answer.
I really enjoyed that answer. It's nice to hear the story that brought you to
Yeah.
wanted to be a senator, but
Yeah.
you have so much influence in the world of transcendental meditation, and you've helped so many people.
Well, now the idea is that we're working here in Los Angeles. There's Emily Fitzrandolph, and there's
Yes.
Monica Sani, who's
Mhm.
here. She's wonderful, and Vin De Crescenzo, who's wonderful, and other teachers. They're doing great work with firefighters, with and other first responders. Now it's on college campuses with young men who have left gangs in prison, and so our whole focus now is to have TM covered by insurance.
Oh, that's
So yes,
exciting.
because it addresses a problem that medicines don't.
Mhm.
Anxiety, depression, these things, they mask the symptoms, and TM is more effective. So I think within a few years, people will be able to go into a doctor and have TM prescribed for them, and it'll be covered by their insurance company.
I would
That will
love,
change the world.
yes, that really will change the world. Can we talk more about the focus groups with the David Lynch Foundation? You talked about the police officers, firefighting department here in Los Angeles. We've had a
Yeah.
chance to hear more about that project in one of the events we attended. But for those of our listeners who have not experienced this before, can we tell them more the groups that you have worked with and how this helped?
Well, the shocking thing is, I remember when we first started teaching this 21 years ago, the problem of stress was there, but it wasn't what it is today. And the words PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, were not as prevalent. But now, when you look at 21 to 25 veterans take their own lives every day because of PTSD.
Mhm.
This is a rough number, but about 7,500 soldiers died during Iraq and Afghanistan. Since that war, the veterans that have come back, another 34,000 have taken their own lives. So it's more hazardous to come home. It's just like all those families ruined because of that trauma that the VA can't help them with. And
Mhm.
Transcendental Meditation profoundly helps, and I think just a few years before TM is covered. And we're also working with police and firefighters, also the same thing. More firefighters and police officers take their lives than die in the line of duty. And when it comes to nurses, there'll be 1 million fewer nurses. There'll be 1 million fewer nurses in American hospitals next year than this year because of stress. So wherever there's a problem of stress, wherever there's that buildup of chronic stress, David Lynch Foundation is working. And what we're doing is we raise money through donations, then we teach the meditation for free to the people who are in need, and then all in service of getting coverage so that everybody can learn as part of their healthcare system. And that could reach hundreds of millions of people. Really would
That
change
will
things.
be very transformative
Why do you think so?
because I feel that people need to learn, especially with everything. The buzzword in the last 6 months is AI, and everything that's happening with AI. Not it's not only a buzzword.
It's
This will
real.
change the world. And people ask me a lot of times, what do I feel in terms of coaching? And am I scared for what I do? I'm not scared at all. If anything, I'm excited because more and more people will understand the need for human connection and the need to be good with themselves, the need to be working on themselves. And I love the quote that I heard once: if you're not growing, you're dying,
Bob
right?
Dylan said he was busy. He is not being busy. Who, he who is not busy being born is busy dying. He said in
Right?
1966.
That's a great quote.
Yeah.
And I really feel that this will be more and more prevalent as we go forward. To know that you can be strong on your own will be very important.
And strong, but not in a rough way. In
Absolutely.
that, because you need to have stability and you need to have adaptability. So the most powerful trees are the ones that the roots go very deep so
Exactly.
that the wind can blow this way, and they don't get knocked over.
I'm gonna take that analogy definitely in one of.
It's yours.
Yes. Um so I would love to know, I mean, we talked about your journey to transcendental meditation. We talked about different types of meditation. If you were not doing this, what do you think you would be doing? You really devoted your life to
Yeah,
this
I love
and
it.
to helping
My
humans.
dad was a doctor. My mom was a school teacher. So my dad was a healer. My mom, my mom was a teacher. I wanted to go into politics because I wanted to make a change in a scalable way, not just this clinic or that school, but just scalable.
Hmm.
And so I really feel fortunate now, particularly with with working now to get it covered in insurance companies. That means that this can be a public health policy, so it can be made available. So I feel like I've got health care from my dad, education from my mom, and the public policy. So
Yeah, it
it,
feels like you're really
yeah,
bridging all
I
of this.
really, really, really love it all. And I don't
Yeah.
know what I would be doing. I know that I'd be wanting to. There's a beautiful old proverb, which is that Vasudev Kutumbakam, the world is my family.
Wow.
And the world is my family, and that means it's not just the child in my own home, but the child down the block and the child across country. That and we're only as happy as our least happiest child. And obviously we have to concern ourselves with the people right in front of us. But when the cup is filled and the cup runneth over, and I would be doing something to alleviate suffering in people's lives. Yes, there's some things that just can't be changed, maybe, or whatever. A person has a genetic disease, but then you can do things to make their lives more comfortable, or you can do things to raise funds so they can do research in order to strengthen the immune system so that they don't fall victim to that genetic disorder. But I would be doing something, but this is extremely fulfilling. It's extremely fulfilling, looking at the audience, to be spending time with this person. It really is because she's a rare soul, and it's really
Oh, thank you,
fortunate
Bob.
what you're doing and taking the time to do this. Because there's not much in the world. Where do you get this message? And you're taking the time to do this. There's so many. You're so competent and skilled, and you could be doing anything. So I really
I'm so
appreciate you.
grateful. So this we can end the show here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bob. Um, I also feel really the same about you, and I'm very grateful that I've had the chance to join also the community here in Los Angeles of group meditation. That was a beautiful experience. I remember first time my husband and I went to a group meditation. We were also skeptical, but it's such a welcoming group of wonderful people.
It's all religions, all backgrounds. It's
Yes.
everybody's
Just
the
sit together,
diversity. Yeah,
meditate for 20 minutes,
that's
and
right.
then you socialize a little bit.
Yeah,
It just feels like a nice community,
yeah,
especially we moved here last year
yeah.
to have a group of
Where did you move
humans
from?
from Germany. We were
Oh,
living for 10
oh,
years in Germany
oh.
before.
Big change.
Big change. Weather, culture,
That's the next interview.
lifestyle. That should be the next interview. That's right. I would love to, I mean, I could talk with you all day, but I would love a quick rapid fire with you
Sure, go for it.
for the end. Is there a book that changed your life?
Science of Being and Art of Living by the founder of Transcendental Meditation, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Science of Being and Art of Living. Maharishi was a physicist, became a great meditation teacher. Science of Being and Art of Living. Gave a vision the fact that every human being, independent of their religion or philosophy or lifestyle or cultural or religious or, political, we all have that ocean of stillness within. And that I never knew that. And then a tool to get there.
What's your favorite way to spend a free hour besides meditating?
I love walking the streets of New York City
Mhm.
because every block is another country. You have the restaurants of Peru and the restaurants of Guatemala and the restaurants of Italy and Germany. It's like, and then the people. It's such an amazing city, all
It
so
is.
condensed. So I walking is good, and it's not a walking in the park, but it's basically you're walking around the world when you walk around New York City.
Okay, that's amazing. And what is the calmest place you've ever meditated, or is there a meditation that stayed in your memory?
I'll tell you the meditation that stayed in my memory. I came back from becoming a teacher. My father had volunteered to be a doctor at San Quentin Prison in California.
Mm.
He was a radiologist, and so I used to go with him sometimes as a kid. And it was like, I just like I would see when I would go with him to the VA hospital. I'd see these veterans, and so I saw the suffering there. These men had created a lot of suffering in other people's lives, but they were suffering. And when I became a teacher, I wanted to bring the meditation to them so they'd have something to do behind bars other than just getting more violent. And I remember meditating with 30 men, and they were from all these different gangs. So you had at the time Black Panthers and Aryan Brotherhood and white supremacist organizations and Mexican mafia. And none of these men ever would have closed their eyes or turned their back to anybody else in the prison because they would have been attacked. And the guard for the whole thing was a meditator and a Baptist minister. So we had a Baptist minister and all these men in for the worst of crimes. And I was sitting in front of them, and we're sitting in rows. And I said, "We're going to meditate." So you close your eyes, do your meditation for 20 minutes. And it was the deepest, to this day, 50 years later, the deepest experience of meditation I've ever had. The contrast was so huge from this pressure cooker of violence and anger and all that, and that all of these men could just sink into their own inner stillness. And afterwards, they were just talking with each other. And I'm sure as soon as they went out the door, it was better, it lasted, but I kept thinking, why? The program, we call it Freedom Behind Bars. But I'll never forget that meditation 50 years later.
Wow,
the contrast
that's so
was so
beautiful.
huge.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for asking. You're really bringing out a lot of stuff. I never talk about my past. I never talk about that. So good questions.
What's one thing you're currently learning?
I run a foundation, and we're running it for 21 years, David Lynch Foundation. And I have been running it, and now I'm learning how to turn it over to a younger generation to do it themselves. They're competent, more competent than me in many ways, and it's been my baby, my love of my life, and to let it go and grow. And I still doing all the work I'm doing with the foundation, but it's a satisfying new experience because there's no trepidation, and it's not even that I'm holding on for my own identity. It's just how to sort of pass it on so that it's handled properly, that they don't feel overwhelmed, but they also feel challenged, empowered. And so I think that's something I'm learning.
Oh, beautiful. Exciting time for sure.
Wonderful time. Very refreshing.
We talked a little bit about favorite quotes, but do you have one?
Maya Angelou said, "Today is my favorite day. I've never seen this one before."
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Isn't that beautiful?
Beautiful. Because my favorite quote is also from Maya Angelou.
What is that?
People will never forget. People will forget what you said, what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful. Bob, thank you so much for being with us, for opening up, for sharing about something so useful that comes in handy for me, for my friends, for my family, for our audience today. As you know, I'm very excited whenever I learn something to share it with you and to help you live the most intentional life you can live. And Transcendental Meditation really changed my life. I'm very grateful also to the David Lynch Foundation and to the organization of TM, to Monica, to Emily, to Vin. It's such a nice community that you have built, and thank you for the legacy that you are creating. So I'm very grateful to have had you as a guest on the show.
She didn't ask me to say this. Tell your friends about this amazing woman and her show. It's really great.
Thank you. Yes. Subscribe, share this podcast and conversation with your loved ones. And I'm very excited to see you next week. Thank you.